Hi, Mr. Minnick, helping students study for the AP exam PixLab case study from College Board. Here we are talking about A4, the A4 assignment 4 part of PixLab, and there are these two classes, IntArrayWorker, which I walked through and explained in another video, and today it's complementary class called IntArrayWorkerTester. That's the one that I want to do a quick walkthrough here in this video. So this is a tester class. It's just the name of a class we often give that has a main method in it that's used to test methods, often that come out of another class. So here's the main method, and I'm not sure if in Barb Erickson's original she has the same methods commented out. Yes, she does. Because you're supposed to write the test get count method, you're supposed to implement it, and good luck with that. That's one of your exercises. So she has it temporarily commented out because it's not going to work. But apparently these four methods are ones that work, and you could probably use them as a model for doing the ones that are in orange here that are currently commented out. So I'll do a quick walkthrough of the ones that are black. So let's first look at this method called test set matrix. So let's find it. Let's scroll up and find it here, test set matrix. Here is that method, and it simply uses a local variable named worker, which is kind of weird because worker is an IntArrayWorker object, which simply means we have access to a method called set matrix and a method called print. So they were over here in this other class that we've already studied in another video. There's the print, and there's the set matrix modifier method. So those two methods are being made use of in test set matrix. So we just quickly create on one line of code a simple little two-dimensional array called nums. We plug in some sample numbers. The spacing isn't really consistent there. I got to fix that because I just don't like that inconsistency. And notice it's a one-dimensional array of arrays, which is really a two-dimensional array. And when placed as a parameter for set matrix, it just apparently works because a second later we print it. And by the way, it should have all ones in the first row, and it should have all twos in the second row. So let's run this program. And before I execute this class, I'm going to comment out the other ones that we really don't want to confuse us for testing purposes. So we're only testing right now test set matrix. Here goes. I'm going to compile it and execute it and look down here in my console output window, and we should see all ones and twos nicely printed out like an Excel spreadsheet with rows and columns the way a human would like to see it. Okay, so that works, test set matrix. I'm now going to comment that out and bring into play the other method that I want to explain, test fill pattern 1. Do a quick look at that method. She also creates a local variable named worker here using the default constructor from the IntArrayWorker class, which I think we saw yesterday. There was no default constructor. Take a look. There is no default constructor in the IntArrayWorker. But yet, over in IntArrayWorkerTester, we're calling it, proving that Java does provide a free, behind-the-scenes default constructor in a class that doesn't have any other constructors to it. So worker is a valid worker object, and nums is another two-dimensional array. She made it with 3 rows and 4 columns. It defaults to all zeros because of that, so there are 12 zeros in nums as of line 17, because 3 times 4 is 12. Then we do the set matrix that we already verified works from up here on line number 8. And then we do this fill pattern 1. Well, what's up with that? So test fill pattern 1 just calls fill pattern 1 because that's its job to test it. And then we print whatever we get. So if it works, we're going to have 2's along the main diagonal, 3's to the left of that main backslash diagonal, and apparently we're going to have 1's, we're going to have 1's to the right. Let's test it, and I'm testing it without even looking at it to see what it does. I'm just going to go for it, test it, and yes, we do have all 2's in this main diagonal where I'm waving my mouse, with 3's to the left in this bottom left corner and 1's in the top right. Notice this is a rectangular two-dimensional array and not a perfect square. So let's buzz over into that other class called IntArrayWorker and see how fill pattern 1 works. We probably watched it in another video or looked at it, but I'm going to look at it quickly here. IntArrayWorker, fill pattern 1 has a double nested for loop with this embedded if-else. I remember talking about this in another video. Good luck, trace it, verify that it works. This is a necessary algorithm to understand for the day of the AP exam, because you might have to actually write something like this as one of your 4 free responses. Okay, so I'm done looking over that. I'm back over here in IntArrayWorkerTester. We know that that works, so I'm going to comment it out. I'm going to bring into play test_get_total. Test_get_total is a method up here in my tester class whose whole purpose is to test the method called getTotal, that again is over in the IntArrayWorker. So here's a little two-dimensional array that again we're using just as sample data. Oh, I can do this in my head. 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 + 5 + 6. The total of all those integer elements is 21. Oh, and it says actually here in the system out print statement, the total should be 21. And let's run it to see if it really is 21. And it comes back, yes, it works. Well, let's go over and quickly look at getTotal. GetTotal is somewhere over here in this other class. And it probably has a += statement. Yep, there it is. There's the += that gets the running total. Again, using a double nested for loop where matrix.length should not be confused with matrix square brackets 0.length. Row major, column minor. But it hits all of the elements, and starting with the value 0 in the variable total, it gets a grand total that is returned and which is then stored in a variable called total here, which is then system out printed on the output device. Very, very handy algorithm to use in the real world of banking, probably even medical software, diagnostic software, and heaven knows where else it's probably used. Okay, I'm taking that out of play. And now the last 2 that I want to troubleshoot would be test get largest. Wait, is that the one that you're supposed to test get largest? Test get largest. Where is that up here? Test get largest. Oh no, that's one that you're supposed to actually implement. Sorry, that's not one here. That test get total nested is the last one that this video is going to test. Test get total nested, which is right here, which is really just a method. Its purpose is to test the method getTotalNested. So over here, one last look at the IntArrayWorker class. This is simply using nested enhanced for each loops that get a running total instead of the traditional for loops that we saw 2 minutes ago in this video. So it works, just in a different way. And yes, students in my class should be equally able to use enhanced for each loops instead of traditional for loops if need be. 90% of the time they could be used interchangeably, although there are exceptions I don't want to get into right now, where you cannot use enhanced for loops if you're modifying an underlying object. You can only You can only access data. You can't modify it in that kind of a loop. Okay, so there's a last look at IntArrayWorkerTester, and it's just used to learn these algorithms. Have a great day.